Now that you have the experience of writing a transition plan, let's go through the whole cycle. It starts with the student getting to the age where the transition plan is formally included in the IEP process. Remember, from the start, special educators teach skills that ultimately impact transition. But now that the student is at the appropriate age, there is an assessment process. Then, with the student at the center, hence person-centered planning, you work with them, their family, and the rest of the IEP team to develop a transition plan. Then we implement that plan, providing the supports and services, including those from outside the school and in the community. And then we're done, right? Well, not exactly. This process keeps going for a while. Remember, the IEP must be updated at least every year, or more often if needed. Just like the rest of the IEP, the transition plan must be updated to reflect the students' changing needs as they grow. And this cycle here, it continues all the way until the student graduates or otherwise ages out or is no longer eligible for services under IDEA. Let's look at the reasons why a student exits from special education. First, there's a reevaluation process that must take place at least every 3 years. At that point, the student is either administered formal testing again, or the IEP team reviews records, assesses current status, and determines the student is still eligible with no further testing needed. Okay, well, if it's determined the student no longer is eligible, they would exit from services. But please note that given the chronic nature of IDEA eligible disabilities, this is rare. And you will very unlikely have such a case for students with cognitive impairment. This can also happen if, for any reason, the family or adult student refuses to continue with services. Again, this is not a situation you will likely encounter. High school graduation officially ends IDEA eligibility. Once a student graduates high school, there is no going back, regardless of need. A student who drops out no longer qualifies for IDEA. And if they're not in school, they wouldn't be using it anyway. But if they return to high school, and I mean the actual high school setting, not an equivalency program, they may pursue services again. If they were to move on to an adult equivalency program and pursue something like a GED or a HiSET, they wouldn't receive IDEA accommodations. Those are not available for that. Instead, it would be accommodations that are covered under the Americans with Disabilities Act, which is not the same. Another reason, particularly for adults with cognitive impairment, is that they no longer qualify for IDEA due to age. Remember, this is only for students who pursue a certificate of completion. So similar to what I said about dropping out of high school, a young adult who leaves their public school district's adult transition class before age 26 could potentially return to that program, provided that they are still within that age limit. But ultimately, finishing with a high school diploma or aging out ends services under IDEA forever. There is no going back.